Hello, and welcome to the No Walls podcast. My name is Phalon Grace, and I'm your host's wife. This is your host, Preston Grace. How are you, Preston?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What are we talking about today?
I want to talk about you.
We just recorded a pretty good episode, I think.
We did?
Yeah.
We did. I meant to say we did.
Oh, yeah.
Not
we did.
a question.
We did?
We did. It was a good time.
Yeah,
It was my first ever podcast.
Yeah.
And now I just introed this podcast.
Yeah, you did. Let's go.
I'm slowly taking over.
Taking steps.
I'm gonna take over No Walls.
Oh, okay.
That's my
just
goal.
going to be you.
That's my goal.
It's going to be a monologue.
In about 5 episodes, it's just gonna be one red chair centered, and it's gonna say Phalon.
It's
right
going to
there.
have 3 camera angles.
It's gonna have 3 camera angles.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be me talking, because as introverted as I am, I can talk.
Yeah.
Do you think I could talk to myself for an hour?
For sure.
What do you think I would talk about the most?
I think Motley would get brought up. Our dog.
Yes, our wiener dog.
Yeah.
Her name is Motley.
Mm-hmm.
She's turning 4 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I got her in 2020. So we are very close because we were quarantined together.
Mm-hmm.
She was my only friend for a couple of months.
Yep. Yeah, she would get brought up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else you would talk about.
I don't know. I would find something, though,
Yeah,
for
you would.
sure. What are you watching on YouTube right now that is not sermons?
Oh, I've been watching this guy named Daniel Schiffer, I think is his name. And he does like, to preface, I'm at the church part-time, but I also have a business doing social media management.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I do for like most of our finances.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get more into like the video editing side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've been making like most of the stuff that I do currently is just me making graphics for people and kind of making just posts and stuff like that. But I want to get more into like making like more high quality like ads.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy named Daniel Schiffer is the best at product ads. And like he does it in a way where it's like he's not like in this big corporate building like shooting these ads in like a white room. Like he's literally like in his like basement and he just like pulls down a piece of paper and like puts a Gatorade bottle on it and then
Let's
takes
make
a video.
Let's make an ad for Gatorade.
Yeah, and then like it's really fun to watch. It's actually and he also has like done it in like the dude obviously uses like After Effects and Premiere Pro. I said obviously, like everyone obviously he uses these things. But like he'll hop in like Canva and make one and it's still like phenomenal. And also like something that I've learned recently is like whenever you have the eye to see something, the eye to see something is actually a lot more valuable than the hands to do it.
That's good.
I actually don't know if that's good or not. But,
I feel like that was good. You made me feel like it was good.
Yeah, I think you're always gonna be able to get people around you that can do the thing, but having the person that has the vision to see the thing is I think invaluable. And so like, and I'm not saying that like there are people who have the hands to do it and there are people who have the vision. I think that you can be the person that has the hands to do it, and I think you can craft your vision. So like I'm not like trying to differentiate the values of different people, but he's one of those guys. Like I think you can give him like a potato and like an iPhone and the dude will make a masterpiece. And it's just because he doesn't have to have the best editing software. He just knows how to craft something that looks amazing. So I just love watching his videos lately. And there's another video editor, I can't think of his name right now, something like Hiller or something. He used to be Logan Paul's editor, who is a famous guy, if y'all don't know.
Prime.
He makes Prime energy drinks.
Boxing.
He does boxing. He does
Blonde.
WWE.
Brothers.
Yeah, his brother is fighting Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Yep. So he used to be that guy's video editor.
Everyday bro.
And so he is also one of those guys, like just phenomenal at video editing. And it's just, and we kind of talked about this last time we did a podcast, which was today because we were in the same clothes. But we like I think anytime you're watching someone who is just phenomenal at their craft, I think it's hard to not appreciate it. And like just watching those guys has been really cool. So really appreciating that.
And you said that you have your own business.
Yes, I do.
What was that journey like?
Starting business?
It? What made you think to start it? Why did you do social media marketing?
Those are all great questions.
Give us all of the details.
Yeah, so I was working at another job, and it was actually a really good job. I had a really good boss. He's really cool. And he I don't know, I felt like God was just calling me to do something else. And it was one of those things where it was like it didn't look the way that I thought it would, but it turned out even better than I thought it could. And there was I quit the job and gave a 2-month head notice because of just like me and the boss were tight, and he was, like I said, he's a really good boss. Like there was just no reason not to give him a heads up. And so I gave him a 2-month heads up notice, 2-month notice, and working the 2 months. And then I get to like the last week, and the whole time I'm like applying for jobs, but I was probably a little overconfident in that like God was going to get me like not just any job, but like a job that I wanted. So I'm really only applying at like places that I would like to work. But I'm also like that's intentional. So I'm trying to apply at places that I can work at that will free me up for sure Wednesday nights, so I could be here, and then like Sundays so I could be here.
Yeah.
And so, but the plan was, I was like, somehow God's gonna make a way so that I can be here more. And like that was kind of the thing that started me wanting to leave. And so the 2 months go by way quicker than I thought they would. I'm applying places. I applied at like Hobby Lobby, like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
closed on Sundays.
Closed on Sundays. And then like I'm talking to a few other people about different like random things. But I remember the Friday like it's my last Friday there. So like the weekend's coming up, and I remember like that Friday, like I leave with just like a piece. Like I was like, honestly, it was kind of like a little emotional for me because like I did like that job, and I liked who I worked for, and I didn't know exactly how the future was gonna play out, and it's played out great. So we're here now, but I left that Friday, and I remember just being like, God has something for me. God has something for me on Monday. Like I know He has something for me on Monday. Like I'm gonna get a call back. Yeah. Like something's gonna happen. Saturday and Sunday happen. Monday rolls around, I got nothing. And so like I'm sitting there like processing, like, did I hear from God wrong? Like, did I just like leave a job that was like I was supposed to stay at? Like, cause like honestly, if I would have stayed at this job, there was like a somewhat promising future there. And all right, I think there would have been. Anyways, and like I was just sitting there, just like. I remember I was sitting there in our living room, just no idea what to do. Like, just kind of like, oh, well, I better start applying other places. So then, for some reason, I don't even know how this happened, but for some reason, I'm scrolling through. I think it was really late at night too. I think because it was like the first time I'm not having to get up at 5 a.m. for a while. I just started staying up late, and I think it was that Monday night probably. I'm not for sure. I don't want to lie. It was that week for sure. And I'm like scrolling through my computer, and I find this old logo that I was working on for a business that I never started. And it was like, I don't even remember what it meant, but like it said SG on it. And I was like,
I love this. I've never heard this story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just scrolling through like my old like Corel files, and I found that on there. I used to do, there's a dude, his name's Halston Williams. He's actually our Next Steps pastor here now.
Heyo. It's crazy.
Back when I was like 16, 17, he taught me some really basic graphic design stuff. And he was taking on a lot of work at the time. He's working for a place doing graphic design, and he would get some orders on the side. Just people just want him to design stuff, and like he was like nice enough to just pay me to do those ones because he couldn't do them. And so he would just kick them out to me, let me do them, and like honestly, it was probably more of a waste of his time to let me do that than it was for him to like make any, like he was letting me do them, but like honestly they were all garbage. So like he'd be like, hey, make this t-shirt design or whatever. I would do it, And then he would sit down with me for 2 hours, show me all the changes he makes to it, give it to the client, and still give me the money from the client.
Jeez.
Just stupid nice thing to do. Did that a couple times and did it for a little bit, and he was really showing me how to do some basic graphic design stuff. And so for whatever reason, I had this logo that I was working on whenever I was living with my parents, because I was also trying to do drop shipping when I was living with my parents, which is a whole nother story. And
Sticker Shack?
yeah, Sticker Shack. It failed pretty miserably. It didn't put any money into it. I was trying to do something I had no money put into, so I was
you didn't lose anything.
Yeah, no, I was 17 or something, but I also had this other logo just sitting there. I guess I was going to start another business. Don't remember what the business was supposed to be. It said SG on it. And I felt like I was crunched for time. So I just grabbed that logo and I was like, you know what? Maybe God's calling me to start a business. And I just got this drive to just this drive and this confidence to do this thing that I haven't had before. So, that night I just went to work. Those next couple of days, I built a website. I made all of the social media I needed to, and I just started cold calling everyone. I just started getting these lists. And then my dude, I came across this the other day, and it almost made me it kind of made me a little emotional. My dude Tyler Sisson heard that I was starting a business, and he's our associate Brick Kids pastor now. So now everyone that I know are pastors, but they weren't at the time. He made an Excel spreadsheet of just local places that he thought I could hit up to cold call.
Oh my gosh.
And I came across that the other day, and it said work for
friend.
Preston. It scared me because it said work for Preston, and I was like, crap, what work do I have to do? And I brought it up, and it was him sending that to me. And
we have some good people.
Yeah, we do, for sure. Anyways, so got to work, made the website. We had a pretty good amount of savings, just because we kind of talked about our living situation in the last podcast, but we were good on bills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next while was just trying to get clients. And so I would do cold calls during the day. And then it freed me up because I didn't have a job to just be here at the church a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I got to start leading things I couldn't lead before, because I didn't have the time to do it. I got to step into a few different things and got to got to preach more and stuff like that. What was crazy though, and this is one of my favorite stories to tell now, is so we went 6 months, and
I love this story.
I had 2 clients, I think, maybe
I think
I had 2 clients right off the bat. I think I lost a client.
Yeah.
And I might have only had 1 client.
You've had one for a good amount of time.
Yeah. And I was just getting started, so I undercharged quite a bit just to try. I'm trying to get some money.
Yeah.
So so it's not much money coming in, but you were working at the time, and so all of our money was coming from you.
Yeah.
And then whatever was coming from the church.
Yeah.
And it and anyways, and so I'm going 6 months, and we're 6 months into this thing, and I remember we're sitting down, and I'm just super stressed out. I feel like I'm not really contributing. We keep having conversations about we're not saving as much as we were, because we were saving a certain dollar amount a month, and we were man, we just lost all our savings for the past 6 months, and I get to the spot where I'm I don't know if God actually called me to start this business. It just feels like it's not panning out the way that it would if he was on it, all this stuff. And I was I don't want to go back to work, because then I'll have to pull away from a lot of the things I'm doing at the church, and I freaking love what I'm doing at the church. It's filling me with purpose. But also, I also believe that I'm called to steward our finances well. I'm called to steward our future well. And I think God put those dreams in us for a reason. I don't think those were just us wanting a house isn't a wild thing. So so we decided okay, we're gonna put a time on it. At this time right here, we're gonna revisit it. Yeah, we're gonna reevaluate. And if we aren't making X amount of money, then it's just time to do something else. And within, I don't even know how long it was. It was within a month.
It was
for sure.
before the reevaluation.
Yeah, before the reevaluation thing, we were making enough money so that we were doubling our savings. So everything. So it's not even that we were matching our savings before. We were doubling it. So the last 6 months that we weren't saving as much, it didn't matter because we were doubling it, and so we actually were able to catch back up. Yeah, we made up for our savings
for 6 months.
We
weren't
months
saving,
of savings,
and we made it up.
Yeah, and so God just came through. I just randomly just got a whole bunch of new clients who have honestly been super easy to work for too. Like they don't like.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they're all incredible. I haven't had a client that is like difficult to work for, and like that's a blessing in itself. It's like they don't expect, a ton, and like they're grateful, and like I'm just grateful to have them as clients, and that's kind of like the business thing. God's been moving.
It's crazy.
It humbles you to a point. Like I've had like just being a business owner and seeing how much your income can fluctuate just from a few clients is a little scary. But it does get you to a moment where it's like even in moments where I'm like, if I don't get this done, then they might drop me as a client. If they're like all this stuff, like you do get to a point whenever you've seen God move like that, where you're like, oh, they're not my provider anyways.
No.
God is.
Yeah.
And like even if tomorrow the business fell apart, like I know that it wasn't the business that was providing anyways. It was God, and like it is kind of cool. But now you're not working, and you get to chill, and that's pretty cool.
Well, that's another story in itself. I took a job that I felt like I was called to in the season that we were in. It worked really good for Switch's schedule. Mm-hmm. So I was at a job. I loved it. Like my coworkers were amazing and my boss was amazing. But I would get off at 6, and so I wasn't able to make it to worship practices on Wednesday nights. I was like rolling in kind of late. Well, not late, but like later than I would like to be. So a job came along that was perfect. Like I was working 6 days a week at my last job. This job was 4 days a week. So I actually got like a weekend, which we hadn't had since we were married. Like I worked Saturdays and Sundays. We were at church all day. So like we had no days off together. So this was like an answered prayer, that job was. And like it is really where I was supposed to be at that time.
Yeah.
A lot of things fell into place that would not have if I wouldn't have taken that job.
Yeah.
And then just eventually it kind of got toxic, that work environment. And so it was really scary to like, it's like, this is literally perfect hours for Switch's schedule. And like, I don't think I can find it anywhere else. Like, it's taking a toll on my mental health, but like, I was called to this place. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to leave. And that was a scary step of like, no, I'm going to put my 2 weeks in. And like, God has provided before. So like, that was a really scary step. And like, in the moment, I didn't know I was as scared. Like, now that I'm looking, I was really scared to lose my income.
Yeah.
And so I put my 2 weeks in, and a big burden was lifted off of me. Like, my mental health got like immediately better because just getting out of a toxic environment was super cool. And then God showed up again, like he always does. I put my 2 weeks in, and then like 2 weeks later, your business pretty close, I think, supplemented my income pretty close.
Yeah.
And it's just
I got
insane.
We got like 2 more clients.
2 more clients, and it was like so close to supplementing my income.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild.
It's like right when I took.
Oh, no. The business didn't. I actually love the way God works like this, because it lets you know that God works in more than one facet of your life. Because what happened was your income didn't get replaced by just the business. It was the combination of the business got 2 more clients and we dropped a bill. There was a bill that we had that we didn't have anymore. And the combination of all of those together, it was the same amount as your income. It was the same amount. Yeah.
Yeah. So he got 2 more clients.
Yeah.
Which was pretty close to supplementing my income. And then we had a medical bill.
Yeah.
And the amount of that medical bill, my parents paid it off.
Yeah.
And that made like the total of my income.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Like the
monthly payment was taken away, so we didn't have to pay that anymore. So that combined
it was wild.
Was my income. And it all happened like it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like when you take a scary step, like he just shows up.
Yeah.
He's just been like working in our finances, and I think I feel really blessed to get to see that at such a young age.
Yeah, it is cool. It does set you up to have a lot less stress because you know that, like, obviously you're called to steward your things well, your finances well. So, like, I think you can, like, lose finances because you didn't steward them well.
Yeah.
But I do think that, like, it is good to know that if I'm doing everything I can on my end, then he'll meet me on his end. So
yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah, it's been dope.
It's really cool.
But it's been wild. But this is part of, like, why, like, who you marry matters so much is because we went 6 months where I was making pretty close to nothing, and you were still willing to be working, and you were willing to see me. It wasn't like I was sitting at home eating potato chips.
No,
also.
you weren't.
So, like, let's, like, just before someone takes this out of context and it's like, well, my wife better be working while I'm at home doing nothing. No. Like,
you were, like, literally all day. Like, you would wake up probably before me, and you would be working after me trying to get clients.
Yeah. And so, like, I was trying to get clients, but, like, still, there was a long time. And there were also times when I was up at the church, like, all day. And instead of us having moments where it was like, why were you up at the church all day? We don't have any clients. Like, you still, like, you knew you had faith in the calling, and you trusted my gauge on what we were called to do. And, like, I just appreciate that. And I, like, had I been married to someone else, I don't think that would have played out quite the same way. So, yeah.
And not to give me, like, all the credit, I didn't just, like, he came to me and we discussed the business idea, and I had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So I wasn't just, like, blindly, like, okay, whatever you think. Like, I had a lot of questions and we processed together, but, like, ultimately I knew I wanted you in your calling, and, like, I trusted you and I trusted him. So.
Yeah. I think that's something that we get twisted sometimes is, like, being a godly wife. That feels like a weird term. Being a, like, biblical, I don't know.
A godly wife, I like that term. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Being a godly wife does not mean whenever your husband speaks, you say yes, sir, and do, like, and just do whatever.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get that a little twisted. Like, one of my favorite things about you, one of the things that, like, I value the most about you is actually, like, how intelligent you are. And it's, like, what you can bring to the table. Like, I love that when I'm facing a problem, although I'm a pretty good problem solver.
You are.
I'm not having to solve problems on my own anymore.
Yeah.
And, like, there are whole angles to problems. There are whole solutions. There are whole answers to things that I actually wouldn't have ever been able to see had you not been there to point them out. So, like, there were totally times when I was doing the business where it was like, hey, I think I'm gonna. I was like, hey, I think I've been doing some research. I think I'm gonna buy, like, 5 billboards and just put the business and. I think I'm
Bro,
it's only $1,600 for the year.
It's like,
I'm gonna
no.
put
I was like,
per billboard.
No.
And it's like just me because sometimes
so
I get,
respectfully,
I just
I
got
am
excited.
not co-signing that.
Yeah, and, like, I would just get excited and I'd be like, look, babe, it's only $1,600 per billboard a year. Let's just buy, like, 5 billboards and just put the logo on a billboard. And she would like not aggressively and, like, honestly very gracefully, and you, like, that's the other thing, you never made me feel stupid, but you would just be
I feel like I kind of lean towards, like, are you kidding me? So
no, yeah, you never made me feel like that.
Cool.
And but she would just kind of be like, so should we spend close to $10,000 on billboards, or should we start with business cards?
Bro, did that conversation happen?
Yes, something like that.
That's amazing.
It went somewhat. I wasn't gonna spend $10,000, but, like, I was.
No, it was gonna be a lot.
It was gonna be a lot
the
of money.
billboard
I was
thing.
like, it'll be worth it. It's an
It's
investment.
like, who?
Yeah, no one knows who we are yet.
Yeah, no
and,
one
like,
knows.
The
billboards are kind of.
Yeah, I don't know, but the billboard salesman was very happy that I was thinking about it.
He was. I remember. He was jazzed. He was like,
so
"I will pay
excited.
you. I will
so
pay you to do to
He was like,
buy
look,
one
I
of
can
my
work out a
billboards."
deal for you. I just don't think he sells very many billboards anymore.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I didn't buy one, so.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just thought it was important to, like, I didn't just, like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I had a lot of questions, but I ultimately trusted you.
Yeah.
Um.
And I do think there would have been, like, like had I been like, no, like at least a billboard is the, like this is the call, like this is what we should do.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would have gotten to a spot where you would have trusted me to do that.
Yeah.
But 5 was not the call.
5 was
definitely not the call.
Maybe 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that sometimes gets twisted, and so like I just like
I feel like this is a really like taboo thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
We can cut it out.
No, say it.
But like we always make decisions together.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're usually really good at making decisions together. And sometimes like my strengths, I'll kind of lead that decision, and your strengths like finances. It's like, yeah, you know more than that. But I feel like if we're ever split, like I'm going this way, you're going this way, I always try to trust you in that. Like if we're both just like not on the same page, I usually try to submit to your opinion on things.
I think you do a good job of that. I do
and
think
it's just like you're a great husband, and like you're not mean to me, so you're an easy person to like trust and submit to. Which yeah.
I appreciate that. I do think that there is like another misconception with that. And it's like people get to spots where they're like, "Your wife should submit." Like, how come my wife doesn't submit when I say let's go right instead
like
of go
you're
left?
Mean.
Well, that
you suck.
No, well, that also. But the other thing is, if you are willing to push your agenda, like let's say we do the billboards, right? Let's say we get to a spot where I'm like, "Babe, I am telling you 5 billboards is what we need. We spend 10 grand on the billboards." The thing that people aren't always ready for is like you're willing to have your play be ran, but you're not willing to accept the responsibility whenever your play doesn't work out.
Yeah, like apologize.
Exactly.
Like I was wrong.
Yes, we just ate 10 grand because I made a play, and like I think that's the weight of being in that seat is like, and I don't think people like talk about the weight a lot, and like and we've been married for over 2 years, and there have been maybe two decisions that have been like that, where it's like real like, no, I want to do this, and it's like
I can't even think of specific ones.
I can think of 2, but I think
I can think of 2.
But I don't think moments like that shouldn't happen all the time. There shouldn't be moments all the time where it's like you want to do something and I'm like, "No, woman, we're doing this." Like that is not how our relationship looks. But whenever there are moments, whenever that happens, it's like, yes, but you have to be willing to accept the weight of the decision also. And like the fact that you didn't just drag yourself into it, we dragged both of us in. I dragged both of us into it. And so I think that's also what balances that out though, is like I realize that like the weight is my responsibility, but I also don't want that weight in situations whenever I'm not confident in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you know what? When you said maybe let's not spend 10 grand on billboards, I was like, you know what?
That is a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't want to in 6 months be like where we were at, but also 10 grand in debt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's actually a cool thing to bring up.
Our word as a couple this year is team. What does that look like?
So
you kind of presented that word to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, what does that look like for us? 2024. We're a team.
So words for the year might sound kind of weird. So essentially, what a word for the year is we do the Daniel fast every year at the beginning of the year.
Oh my gosh.
Starting this, well, I do it I did a variation of the fast every year. This last year was our first year doing the actual Daniel fast, which was honestly a really good time. Like
what?
Yeah, we stayed at my grandparents' house.
Oh yeah, no, it was a good time. Like, it was just really hard. It was
scripture.
It was really hard.
We were listening to tons of worship music. I was feeling great spiritually. What
Food
we were
part was
eating,
just really hard.
yeah, it was just honestly just cooking. I think, and also we got so sick of Chipotle because there's like this Daniel fast thing you can do at Chipotle. Daniel fast friendly thing you can do at Chipotle.
Sorry, I got you off topic.
No, you're fine. But essentially during that time, I'm looking for direction for the year, and like not like the word doesn't always last for the whole year. Sometimes the word lasts for a quarter. Sometimes the word lasts for a month, and sometimes you get the word wrong and you realize like it doesn't apply at all, like I have done a couple of times.
Oh, that's
and
okay.
so the word for us as a couple I was feeling was team. And a lot of this came from like some conversations I had with Taylor Otterbein, who's normally on this podcast, and
he's here in spirit.
He's here in spirit. You're holding it down, and the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of times God does speak to you through the people that are closest to you, and Taylor's he's like a mentor to me. So like I've gotten a lot of wisdom. I've gotten a lot of things that have helped my life through him, and I think God speaks through him to me a lot.
Yeah.
And we were just having some conversations, and like he does this thing every year. Him and his wife go do what's called a family summit. And so at the beginning of every year, they go out and they like plan their goals for the year. They talk about their dreams. They talk about what they could improve from last year.
Yeah.
And I heard him talking about it. He was not like pushing me to do it in any way. We were just talking about it at the gym one day, and like he just like something just like I like felt in my spirit. I was like, we need to do this year. Like this is our thing. And then we go and we do the family summit, and it was just me and you. So we didn't go with them, to clarify.
Yeah.
So me and you went to an Airbnb in Tulsa, right next to the old Transformation Church location, which was kind of cool.
That was cool.
Shout out TC. And
TC.
We did that, and like it really was a really cool experience.
It was so fun.
I do feel like that summit has shifted our dynamic in a lot of ways.
I think so.
And so if you don't do that, I would advise, not you, if you don't do that, I would advise doing that with your significant other, because it's really cool.
It's a really fun time too. It's like a mini vacation.
Yeah. And
to be honest, I felt a little awkward, but like pushing each other to kind of like have a serious conversation, like allotted hours to like really talk about our marriage, I think was stretching and really fun.
It was super cool. And
we super cool.
Did it off a book called Take Back Your Family.
Take Back Your Family. I am obsessed with that book.
That was a recommendation from Taylor as well. So check that book out.
I love that book.
Actually, we're probably going to end up doing a podcast on that because Taylor loves like this topic. Like he crushes this topic.
I was about to say he kills it.
Yeah. So like he did a whole Brick group on it this last semester. So we really need to do a podcast with him and have him talk about it. But we did that this year, and I do feel like it shifted the way that I saw our marriage. I think it shifted the way I saw us. And it shifted the way we saw each other, I think. And so like we stepped out of that, and I realized like it is not like us like kind of like this, and then like world's kind of happening. Like I think the way I saw it was like we're kind of individuals, and the world is happening, and the world kind of gets in between us sometimes, and like I don't know how else to explain that, but like that's kind of how I saw it in my head. And that we left that, and I realized like no, it is like us and the world, and like it is our job to change the world. Like we were put here to do that. How are we going to do that? And it was kind of like not only how do we do that, but like we had action steps on how to do that. We're going to do that through our family. Yeah. And so we are going to create the healthiest family that we can. We're going to create the healthiest marriage that we can, so that when we have kids, they grow up healthy. They grow up wanting to change the world. And then when they have kids, they grow up doing the same thing. And then 5, 6, 7 generations down, the Graces are changing the world because we planted some seeds. Yeah. And so, I think like having that big vision, like being able to go from thinking like, you know, how are we going to, like, what are we going to eat for dinner, to like, what does 7 generations from now look like, was kind of a trip. And it made me leave the summit really feeling like we were a team. Yeah. And so I think even like in our decision making for things, like we became more of a team, we became more of a duo, as opposed to like, I think a lot of times it leaned like 60-40. Yeah. And I think it started to lean, I think it's been more equal. Yeah. And then like just kind of like divvying out responsibilities, shooting for goals and gifts, and like also I said shooting for gifts, like shooting for goals and like developing gifts. Yeah. And then like also like getting to really like pick your brain on like, what do you want to shoot for? Yeah. Like, what are some things that you want in our marriage? What are some things? And like, I don't think we've really gotten to like sit down and do that. So just kind of cool to do. So anyway, so the word for the year team was us tackling life as a team. Yeah. And not as individuals. Yeah. And like really seeing our marriage as a team. And I just never really seen it like that before. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it's even cool how it works with like individual journeys. We're still helping each other with that. So like you're not in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I couldn't do it without you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're coming alongside me and helping me. So that's really cool. And, like, we do ministry together, but, like, different avenues. But we're still, like, helping each other. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
super cool.
Individual journeys, it doesn't feel like you're by yourself because we're a team.
Yeah, for sure.
If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. And I had some questions about your therapy. So we went to therapy together for the first time ever.
Yeah, that was...
talk to your therapist. Shout out your therapist.
She's the best.
She's really cool.
She's really cool.
She's super cool.
She like gave us 2 hours. It's usually an hour, and she literally like made an extra hour happen for us.
And I had a million questions, and she was very patient with me, answered all my questions. So yeah.
I really enjoy her.
Yeah.
She's so cool.
Therapy is really cool.
Yeah. You said you had questions about therapy?
Do what?
Did you say you had questions about therapy?
No, I said I had a million questions. She answered my questions.
Oh, I thought you said speaking of therapy.
No, I did not say that.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, but I think seeing us as a team has really shifted our dynamic a lot. So, so the reason why our word for the year was team, though, is that like this whole year is because here's like shifting your identity. Shifting your identity. Am I saying that right? Identity. That's how you normally say it.
Identity.
Shifting your identity is a lot of times, like your identity is oftentimes built on your habits. So like if you see yourself as a gym rat, it's because you are consistently in the gym, right? If you see yourself as a smoker, it's because you smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's a habit that you have. And so in order for us to build our identity as a team, we had to start building some habits that made us see ourselves as a team.
Yeah.
And so
what are some habits?
Part of the word, I'm so bad at starting habits, so we haven't been great at this. But one of them is like having weekly meetings. Yeah. Like where we do checkups, and like we haven't hit probably the majority of them. No. But the ones that we have hit have actually been extremely helpful. Yeah. And we're getting more consistent at them. Yeah. But it's just this time where we get together and we say, how was this week? And it's
1 to 10.
1 to 10. How did it feel? And like that can mean whatever it needs to mean. Yeah. But if it's like she says 7 and I say 6, then the next question is, okay, how do we get it to an 8 and a 7 this next week? And we find one thing we can improve this next week. Yeah. And when you do that and you stack a couple weeks like that, like you really do start to see some things change. And it also kind of like lets you, like if we had a fight on Friday night and we're doing our thing on Sunday night, it gives you a touch point where you know we're going to be able to talk about it on Sunday night. Yeah. So it's like, even if the fight doesn't really get resolved on Friday, well, Sunday night it's going to get brought up. So, and you're far enough removed from it where we can kind of be like, hey, that was kind of stupid, wasn't it?
That was a stupid fight.
Sorry about that. Yeah. And so that's been one of them. Do you have other ones?
Other habits? Yeah. We haven't necessarily killed it, but scripture in the morning together. Yeah. That's a habit that we've kind of been starting.
Scripture and journaling together.
Scripture and journaling, which is I love it. We have actually, pat on the back, date nights. We've done really good.
We've crushed date nights.
We have crushed date nights. Like I don't think since we've been married we've really missed one. I think we've gotten better at being more intentional about date nights this year, but we've really been solid at those. So that's a habit that we've been really good at.
I do think we had a season in our marriage where we weren't doing date nights.
Really?
Yeah. We had like a short, like it was like a month or two. And I noticed how big of a difference it was making, and we shifted back to them.
I think I kind of remember
that.
But
lately, this year, we have crushed it.
We've crushed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've been intentional about them too.
Yeah. Taylor also gave us this idea, but of like every other week, like Preston, you plan a date night, and I plan a date night, so you can like, you're not always trying to like impress the other one. Like, what would they want to do? You just choose what you want to do for the date night because you know next week. Yep. Whatever. Anyway, praying together. To be honest, I think why that wasn't like sticking as much, like we weren't being as consistent with that, is because I was kind of just like expecting you to take that over. Like I put like all of the weight on you. Like, well, he better remember it because I'm not gonna do it. I don't know why I was like that, but I just realized like like you're leading a lot of people, and like so we decided just to kind of like, I'll remind you, or I'll pray at night now, which is really stretching for me. It makes me like really nervous, but I feel like that's been good. Like, like me praying as well, not just like expecting you to remember every time.
It's also, what would happen was I would actually remember every single night after you fell asleep. So like I'd be laying there, she would fall asleep, and I'd be like, crap, I forgot to pray for us. And I would just kind of like to myself like,
pray over.
Yeah, just pray over you. And then like, I mean, it's just not, that's still good, obviously, but like trying to build like us praying together was the point of it. And so,
but we've like for the past week have been really good with that.
Yeah.
And it's felt really good. Like the first night, it took me like 10 minutes to get the words out. Literally, I just was like, give me a minute.
And I was like, really I can pray tonight.
It's like, no, I said I am praying tonight. I'm going to pray tonight if it takes an hour. But it literally took me like 10 minutes to just get the words out. But literally at the end of the week, it got more comfortable.
Yeah.
I was just making it more complicated than it had to be. But
sometimes that happens.
Yeah, but it's been good.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Other habits.
What's been your favorite date night this year?
Favorite date night this year? The one that comes to my head is, I know what it is. We went to Eufaula, and we went to this little coffee shop that's connected to a church down there. And that was really fun. And we walked the downtown streets, and we went to this little dog store that had like toys and stuff. And then we went to eat at this little restaurant downtown as well. And the drive was really pretty. And then we drove like by the lake. I really liked that one. And I liked the most recent one. These are both the ones that I've planned. But we tested Ollipops, which is this new pop. And we tasted all the flavors that we could find. And then we played Monopoly Deal. And then we watched my new favorite movie, La La Land. That was really fun. I really liked that date night.
I think, so my brain tends to work like this, where the most recent thing is the best thing. But I do think that last date night was one of my favorite ones. Because like that movie was incredible.
So good.
It won like all the awards, so then it just means we're really basic and we like the things everyone else likes.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but yeah, when I heard that afterwards, I was like, but yeah, that movie is incredible. Shot incredible. The soundtrack is incredible.
My favorite actress.
They're very talented. And yeah, it was wild. And then just kind of the vibe of that movie kind of set the vibe for the night. It was kind of cool. We were listening to jazz the next day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like that date night a lot. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's no.
I know another habit.
What?
Is that okay?
Yeah.
To shift or go back?
Yeah.
Sabbath.
Yes.
We have been doing really good with Sabbath.
Yeah,
Saturdays are our Sabbath, and I feel like that's more my strength. You have a bunch of strengths that I don't have, but I can literally just be like, I'm not talking to anyone I don't feel like talking to. Like I am putting my responsibilities down for this day, and like it doesn't bother me. And I feel like me prioritizing it has helped you prioritize it, and it's been a really fun time. I really enjoy our Sabbaths, and I feel like we've been crushing it, and I feel like you've been crushing it.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think you necessarily like are the best at just like chilling.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've been killing it for this year.
I actually have something on Sabbath. So, what Sabbath is, pretty much, if you don't know, it is just a day of rest. So it is a day where you set aside all work and you just have a moment where you just chill. And it can look like a bunch of different things. So it can look like you taking your family to the zoo and y'all having a good time. It can look like a lot of things, but pretty much the filter you run things through on Sabbath is, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And then what it does is it's not just a time for you to chill, but it's also a time for you to trust God with some things.
Yeah.
So like what I found out when we were trying to get intentional about Sabbath was there are a lot of times where I was using Saturdays to get caught up on work that I didn't get done during the week, or like I was using Saturdays to get ahead for the next week. And it was like this moment where I actually had to be able to trust God. It's kind of like tithing. I'd be able to trust God with my time and just know that he'll make up the difference.
Yeah.
Now, if you are like me, and so like a lot of the things that I do kind of blend together. So like for me to dive into something and really get good at something, I have to like fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so lately with me doing the business stuff with the social media management, with like the video editing, and with some of the creative team stuff I get to do at the church, like in my spare time, I'm also just watching like YouTube videos, like we were talking about, like on, social media management and just creative stuff in general. So what I would do is like, for Sabbath, I'm going to rest by like just making a dope video for me. Yeah. And then like next thing I know, I'm like turning it into kind of a video for the church, or turning it into a video for the business, or doing something,
or
like
got
that.
Your brain on it.
Yeah, and I just have my brain on it. And then Monday rolls around and I am like, I don't want to work. I don't want to do what I have to do because it's Monday and it's time to work. And it's because I spent my whole day on Sabbath doing something that I thought I wanted to do, which I did like want to do, but it wasn't rest. So like that's kind of how I've had to adjust my filter a little bit. So it's not just things that I want to do, it's will this make me feel rested?
Yeah.
And so if you're built like me, you might have to tweak. I guess I'm saying that to say, if you're going to Sabbath or you've had a hard time Sabbathing and you've ran through the filter of, do I want to do it? There are things that I want to do that will actually drain me. And so I've had to learn like what things drain me and what things actually provide me with rest. And I actually have to stay away from some things that I want to do on Sabbath.
Yeah.
Because they'll actually drain me. So
yeah. I don't shower on Sabbath. I don't like showering. It's draining for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I freaking love showers.
I dislike them.
I took 3 showers the other day.
We just do not have a bath.
We don't have a bath.
A really hard habit for me is to not clean on Sabbath. I kind of have to force myself not to do that. I try not to make my bed. But yeah, just like Jesus will love me even if my bed is messy and my hair is messy and my house is not clean. So that's one thing that I struggle with, but I feel like I think we've just been killing Sabbath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Sabbath is maybe not something that is brought up a whole lot in church nowadays. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I feel like our lead pastor, Jared Callahan, has done a great job at he's preached on it quite a few times. Like it's something I think he's really felt called to get into our people.
Rest.
Rest.
Yeah.
Because our culture is so
we
like
serve.
counter rest, and like it's time to grind, and it's time to not at the church. I just mean like the culture it's like you grind and you work 60 hours a week and you wear that as a badge of honor, and like if you don't get any rest because you were working, it's like you're a hard worker. And it's like I think Jared has done a good job of implementing Sabbath into our people, and kind of like, and so like, and we really benefited from it. So shout out to Jared for
I remember. I don't remember much else about this sermon, but I do remember him talking about like people bragging about being busy.
Yeah.
Like, why are you bragging? Like rest. It's okay to rest. It's not like a flex that you're busy all the time and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And that's like stuck with me. Like that piece of his sermon is like.
You also catch yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've bragged about being busy for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like,
we're just so busy.
We're so busy. And I caught myself doing that, and then I was like, I don't remember who I was talking to. I was like, yeah, we're just busy. I was like, well,
yeah.
Well, but we also like take a break on Fridays, and we don't do anything on Saturdays. So like, I don't know.
It's also weird though when you should tell people like you don't want to hang out or you don't want to do the thing that they want to do. And like it is because it's like Sabbath and you're trying to rest.
Yeah.
And then like you actually aren't busy. So it's like, well, what do you got going on? It's like
I've gotten
nothing.
I've gotten so good at just being like, I don't have anything going on.
Yeah.
And I want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Sabbath, we've killed that.
Yeah. We have killed Sabbath.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what another fun date was?
What?
When we went on the double date with your brother and his girlfriend.
That was really fun.
We
watched Godzilla versus King Kong or
something
whatever.
like that. Is the newest one.
It was the newest one.
Yeah.
It was so good.
There were there were a lot of scenes in the movie where it's King Kong or Kong. I guess he's not.
Kong.
He's running around in Middle Earth, which is like essentially just Earth, but everything's bigger. Like there's dinosaurs and stuff. And like I could legit watch just hours of him just walking,
roaming
around and like eating things.
Yeah.
And it was a good time. The movie was done really well.
There was like a kind of a plot, but it didn't really matter. I just wanted to see him fight
the whole time.
Yeah.
The bad guy was so scary. Yeah.
His name is Scar.
Yeah.
Scary, kind of freaky, but I cried in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like anything with animals, even if it's like a big gorilla, I'm just like, oh, don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. I really like that movie, and hanging out with them is always fun.
All right, so we've talked about our word for the year, how it's teams, how we are introducing some habits and things like that. We talked a lot about date night and that kind of stuff. Here's how we'll end this podcast.
Okay.
What are the 3 things in our marriage that you feel like have made the biggest difference in our marriage, I guess?
Wow.
In our relationship.
Okay.
Wordsmith over here.
One is really cliche, I guess. Keep God first, which we haven't been perfect at. Like sometimes the order gets a little mixed.
Yeah, for sure.
But keeping him first has been really big and really important. And when that shifts, you can feel it. And when the order gets mixed up, the order's God.
What does it look like for the order to get mixed up?
A big way that we've kind of had to watch recently is like putting the church before even like our relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
Just like we're so busy serving that we kind of like, I haven't read the Bible in like 2 weeks, and I haven't like had time to worship him like in my own time and dive into scripture and stuff. Another way is like we prioritize each other over God. That's probably like the main one that we've kind of shifted sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what kind of out of order looks like.
Makes sense.
So to keep that order in check, this is slightly like
there you go.
off. I had a meeting. I had a coffee with the worship pastor. I think she's the worship pastor at TC.
Transformation Church.
Transformation Church in Tulsa.
Shout out.
She was kind enough to meet with me and answer all my questions about worship pastor stuff and leadership stuff. And she was talking about the order, which I've heard that. It's what I've heard is God, marriage, family, calling. I don't know what the 4th one is. I've always like had church.
The church?
The church.
That's what I would think.
The church. Yeah. But she said God, self, marriage, family. And she used the scripture like I forgot what the scripture was, but like the sentiment was you're gonna
love others
as you love yourself. And it's like, how are you gonna love others if you don't love yourself? I've never thought of it like that, but that was really cool. So that's what the order is. It's God, self, your
marriage.
spouse, your kids, your family, and the church. So keep that all in line. Having community has to be the second biggest one. Not doing it alone.
I think even keeping the first one in line is really difficult, if not impossible, if you don't have the second one.
Yeah.
Because like I think having people
keeping you accountable to the first one.
Exactly.
And like we have like not everyone and their dog is allowed to have an input on our marriage.
Right. For sure.
But we have like
there's actually a lot of people who aren't allowed to have input on our marriage.
Yeah.
Like most people aren't allowed to have input on our marriage.
Yeah, most people aren't.
Yeah.
But we have like a core group of people who we trust and like value their opinion. And just having them has been a game changer, and having community that has the same like values and stuff, and just having close friends and mentors to give us wisdom and just be open to their like their outside view is so important.
Yeah.
Because they can see things that we probably would miss without them.
That's good.
So that order, keeping God first, community.
Mm-hmm.
The third one, what was the question?
What are the 3 things that you think have changed our marriage the most, or keep our marriage? I guess it could be like keep our marriage most healthy or something like that.
I think, before we had like the word for it, I think we've been good at it. We've been a good team, and I think that's really important. Like, I couldn't do what I'm doing without your support, and vice versa. Or it would be really, really hard. So like, just being in each other's corners. Like, you're my best friend. So that's
you're my best friend.
Yeah.
It is good to know, like, we talked about this in the last podcast, or the last podcast we did together. Where like Taylor has done a really good job with our student ministry of creating a safe place to fail.
Yeah.
And like the cool thing about having a marriage where you feel like teammates and you feel like best friends is like every place is a safe place to fail, because I know that like outside of these walls, like no matter what shot I shoot in general, like back to the business thing, even if the business would have failed, which it looked like it was 6 months in. It was a safe place to fail because like we're on a team together. And like I'm not failing alone. Like and you're there, and like I think it's that's a cool thing to have, is like your marriage really can become the safest place if you're willing to be a team with each other. So
and we trust each other so much. I think trust is like a big thing too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being my teammate.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for being on the podcast again.
Thanks.
The same day.
Twice.
Knocked 2 of them out.
I kind of begged you to do a second one.
Well, I'm glad you did. It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love you, girl.
Love you.